I'm Robert Barry, and right now I'm the face of America. I'm Robert Barry, and I'm an artist. And I've been doing this for about 60 years. Well, I think language has been used a lot before me. Actually, I had to use it because I was working with ideas and inert gas and radio waves, invisible material. So to make my work known, language was the only way I could do it, either with a statement or speaking, saying it out loud. And I just got very interested in the nature of language and how we relate to it, and how it fits into a gallery space or any kind of art presentation. I just continue using it. Once you become into the using language and you understand what it is, how it works, and because language comes out of us. We don't find it outside of ourselves. It comes from us. It comes out of us, and we use it to communicate with each other. And so I just became very interested in the notion of words and speaking and language and things like that. I don't know when I decided I was going to be an artist. That you just are one. It's just in you. It just comes out of you. I studied it in college, and I worked with some wonderful people like Robert Motherwell. And I live in New York, so there's an enormous art culture in terms of galleries and things like that. I remember when I was in high school, I went to my guidance counselor and I said, I'm thinking about being an artist and so forth. And he literally said to me, well, if you're going to study art, go to Hunter College. It has the best art department. He just happened to know those things. And so I decided to go to Hunter. And I ran into people like Robert Motherwell. He was a teacher there. And I think he had some influence in choosing some of the other professors and people who were teaching there, William Basiotis, and I stayed there. And then, of course, when I went into the Army, I had to serve my time. And then when I came out, I got a master's degree. I thought Motherwell would still be around. This is late 50s, early 60s. And Tony Smith had taken over. Motherwell was gone. And in its place, other people had been there, other wonderful artists. And so I just got into it intellectually and emotionally, and in a way, I guess, was influenced. And I liked hanging out in the art world and visiting galleries and dealing with those ideas. You have to remember New York in the early 60s probably was something like Paris was back in the time of the late 19th century. Art ideas were very interesting. There were new ways of thinking visually and expressing yourself. It was the beginning of abstract expressionism, and pop art had just come in. And so if you're into expressing yourself through art and making art, it was a very challenging and fascinating time for me anyway, and I just got into it and stayed with it. And for the most part, I'd say most of the time, I tried to deal with the nature of art as it is, what art is about. I'm just not the kind of artist that relies on some kind of subject matter, whatever that might be. I am political, and I have even been in demonstrations against the war in Vietnam and things like that, but it doesn't get into my work. My work is about dealing directly. I've always said that the most important space in art is the space between the viewer and yourself. Energy, that goes on there, and what someone can get out of what I'm doing personally, how they personally relate to it. And that's where the meaning is. The meaning is in the personal reactions that people have in dealing with my work. Presenting work and having it out in the public is important. It's important for an artist to have the work out for other people to deal with it. And in a way, no matter what you think, there are other people out there that can relate to it. There's no one that's totally isolated. And whatever you put out, people will pick up on it and deal with it and want to come to you and find out what you're about, as you are doing now. People will be wanting to ask you questions and try and get more insight and be able to relate in a more complete way. I generally sign it. You have to do something physical to keep it alive, so that people, if they want to reproduce it or want to show it later, years later, they have something physical there that they can work with. One thing I find is that if ideas are put out over a period of years, the ideas change. People interpret things differently, or they look at things a little differently. It was important for me to type out the statement, or make sure my signature, this is what I think, this is the final version, and I will put my signature on it. I don't know if anybody's been forging my signature. I don't know. I'm not that important an artist, I guess, and it's not worth that much money for them to want to do it, so to take that chance. But yes, I generally try to sign it, and if it's for something that's sold, and the collectors like some kind of a signed document, maybe something ephemeral, especially with the early work from the late 60s to 70s and so forth. If it's something more like that, if they like some kind of a signed statement to that effect, then it's perfectly all right. The idea of time in my work is important, and how things can be changed, how interpretations can change, and how other ideas can grow out of it as we move ahead. I'm getting older and serious now. I'm in my 80s, so I know how ideas change in terms of interpretation of work. And that's very important for me. I like things to be open that way, so that other people can deal with it. Later generations can deal with it on their own terms. That it's not just one way of thinking about something. So my work has always been open in that way, but hopefully the people will become engaged in it. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. I have no control over that. I just put it out there, and hopefully people will respond to it. If I can make a statement about what I see today, I don't travel so much to the gallery, so I'm really not doing much traveling, especially now, because Europe is pretty much closed to Americans. I'm doing a show in Paris, in fact, in September, but I'm not going to be able to go. And by a wonderful dealer whom I met when she was working for Yvon Lambert in Paris. What a wonderful gallery, and I showed with him many times. But I just I don't know. I really don't like to comment on other people's. I may have my ideas, and in private, if we're sitting around in a bar having a drinks or something like that, or having dinner, I may tell you exactly what I think, but not like this, not in this kind of situation.